right, guys. Hi, happy Wednesday, and thank you so much for joining me today as we discuss promoting your business during COVID-19. And we will go ahead and get started. I have some really great topics that I'm going to go through with you today. And at the end of the presentation, I will also have an opportunity for you guys to ask me any type of Q&A that you may have. And also, if I say anything that really gets your interest and you just want to ask me in real time, just feel free to use the chat here on the side, and I'll be more than happy to answer your questions, okay? So I do hope that you have a pen and paper handy, because we're going to be talking a lot about messaging and how to pivot during this time. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. You know, as the impact of COVID-19 continues to unfold, they're very uncertain times. At this point, we are almost a month in, I think, and we just don't know when we're going to get back to normalcy. And also, what would the new normal look like for our businesses after this global pandemic is over? So let's discuss that a little bit. So, uncertain. It is very essential for our business professionals from every small business industry to prioritize their media strategies, okay? So again, some of the things that we're going to be discussing today is I'm going to try to walk you through some steps to really to really have a good role as your company's media expert, how to pitch, how to message, how to have sensitivities, and just to make sure that what you are displaying will really reach your consumers and your customers. So again, as now you've seen all of the effects of COVID-19 thus far for your day-to-day business. Some businesses have closed, some have been able to pivot, some has gone online, and some unfortunately can't do anything right now. So with that being said, we're understanding that you had to postpone your events. If you are brick and mortar, you can no longer have people that can come in. So what does this mean when it comes to PR and marketing? So I had an opportunity to look at a COVID-19 brand sentiment navigator report. And what they did was they surveyed 6,000 consumers, and they were asking them, what are some of the responses that you want to see from brands and small businesses at this time? I'm going to actually just read to you some of the things that they said. They want to receive positive marks to keep it on the customers and the consumers. That was 58%, and the employees. They also said that they want to see that companies are keeping their employees safe. Additionally, they said that they want small businesses to display and show empathy, and also recognizing that this is the new normal. So, and also, last but not least, really just reassuring that communication. So I say all that to say is that this is a critical time for brands to really imprint themselves into the consumer's minds and really have that staying power behind the crisis. Again, the research or the report that I just read, and you can actually find it on Google after the presentation today, is called COVID-19 Brand Sentiment Navigator Report. It's a really great report as you're really kind of trying to pivot your narrative and just really seeing what the consumers are saying. So, how do you pivot? The pandemic has definitely had a negative effect on everyone from a personal and a professional level. Economists agree that the COVID-19 economic impact is unprecedented. I think we all know that, right? I mean, we're just really faced with two different things. So you have a choice. You can be a coward in terror and just freak out and not do anything and say, oh my God, what am I going to do? Or you can fight back. You can strategize, you can pivot your business for growth. So not only will you survive during this time, but you'll also be able to bounce back after the challenging times as well. So the first thing that we're going to discuss today is how to adapt your PR and marketing during COVID-19. So the first thing that I want to say, again, because I know, especially with small businesses, a lot of you guys do have offices, right? We know this. The health officials have already said it as well. It's just to stay home. I understand that if you have a gym and things of this nature, some people are saying it's okay to go back, but I do urge that we all look at what the health officials are saying and look at what your customers are saying. If your customers are saying that, you know what, we think we should stay home right now, I think your customers will be very happy to see that you are doing just that. Not only does this keep you safe, but it also keeps your company out of the headlines as a possible cause of the virus spread. You definitely don't want to be like, I think there was a conference called Biogen that happened, and they started to bear some responsibility of spreading the virus as well to some of their participants. So that's just not a news headline that you really want at this time. Next tip, stay relevant to your audience. People are panicking. Yes, we are a month in, but again, every day there's something new on the news that comes out. So it's no time to focus on your needs. Look for ways to put your audience in first place and address their needs and concerns. For example, if you are a financial institution, you might produce content that addresses ways that your audience can save money during this time, or how their small business can adapt to decrease customer numbers and purchases, but also offering some online services that you're currently doing. The same can go if you have a gym or a wellness facility. Start to offer some of your services online, but also provide a few tricks and tips that they can do. And I'm going to dive into that a little bit more in just a second. Very, very, very important. Media outlets are inundated right now with COVID-related stories. So what you really want to look at, as if you're looking at your brand messaging and your lunches, all of that has changed now. So you kind of have to go back to square one. You have to cease all non-essential press releases and launches, okay? Of course, press releases and launches are a key part of any PR strategy. We all know this, especially B2C PR, right? But the fact is that now is not the time for your latest announcement, unless it simply can't wait. If your announcement is not something related to how you are servicing your customers during this time, what your company is doing to help the community during this time, and how you're possibly pivoting to service your clients, this is just not the time to pitch media things that are like every day, okay? Everyone is in a state of panic, and we just really have to focus on the current situation, not your quote unquote company news. So please just put out that press release or product launch until things calm down, okay? And also, it does not mean that you piggyback on another company's news during this pandemic. It just really reeks in bad taste, okay? Okay, so this is also a great time for you to kind of work on some back burner projects, right? So we all have those projects and ideas that we have for our businesses, right? That we've already always put on the back burner. But while things are kind of slowed down a little bit, we think that it's really advantageous for you to just to kind of dig out those projects and give those your full attention, especially if some of those projects were digital in nature, right? It's a great opportunity for you to kind of look at some of those ideas and try to pivot. So some things that you can be doing right now to help your brand is, let's say if you wanted to write an ebook and you wanted to promote that to your consumers and your customers, you can do that. This is a great time to update your brand messaging, creating or revamping your website, creating more video content, which I will talk about in a second, as well as podcasts. because again, people are still needing content, and just to see that your company is doing that or your small business is doing that, your customers will appreciate that. Do you want to design some new offerings? What some companies are doing right now, or small businesses are doing right now, is they are actually offering gift cards because they are closed. As of yesterday, Instagram has a new offering for small businesses where you can actually put a gift card button in the bio area of your Instagram. So even though if you're closed, you can still incentivize your customers by offering them discounted gift cards. So once you are back open, you will be able to continue on with your business. Okay. So those are some things that you can do, just really looking at the back burner projects. But also, one thing that I would suggest that you do, go online, go on Twitter, go on social media, and see what companies like yours in your state, in other states, really write down and research what they're doing to pivot during this time. And I can guarantee you that that's going to make you ideate and think about things that you can also do in the meantime, just so your company and your business will not suffer. And also, it's going to be very important that even when you're in Google and you're Googling what are companies doing right now, you can literally put in Google, what are fitness small businesses doing right now? Click on news and see some of the news articles that have been successfully pitched and launched, and you can utilize that for your brand narrative as well. Okay. Haha, as I just said, let's really focus on online services. Right now, people aren't leaving. So they're going online to do any and everything just to try to keep the flow, okay? Because in person, it's off limits. You can't have people indoors. It's off limits. So look for ways to do online to support your B2B marketing and PR strategies. Again, if you have not been in Iraq, you know that Club Quarantine has something that's been very, very popular right now. So maybe you can create some custom content ideas, and maybe once a week you can do a live video on Facebook, Twitter, or Instagram. I keep going back to a small business that is fitness, right, or wellness. So let's say, for example, if you are a yoga studio, once a week you can possibly offer like a free yoga class that people can attend, but also they can possibly order yoga mats online by going back to your site to do this. If you're trying to do some type of meditation for wellness, right, you can offer an online free meditation seminar. But I'm also seeing people doing paid platforms too, to say, hey, we know that you can't come in studio for our wellness class or meditation class, but here's a direct link on our site that you can actually pay to do it, but they're doing it for like $5, $4. So there's just two ways to do that. Again, if you have not seen what people are doing, I definitely recommend that you just go to some of your favorite companies' Instagrams and look at their Instagram lives. Go to their Facebook. Look at some of the Facebook lives they've done, and even look at some of their tweets and what they're doing, just to get you some additional ideas. Social media and online services is going to be your bread and butter right now. And it's really going to take some creativity to utilize that to make sure that you get your company to the next step to where it needs to be. Okay. My next tip is, I just said that, social media. I apologize. I got ahead of myself. Utilizing your digital spaces, okay? So whether you have a blog on your company website or just your website, you are listed. Take the time now to look at your SEO and make sure that it's where it needs to be. Look at your marketing strategy. If you have Facebook ads and things of that nature, look to see how well these are producing, okay? Because yes, we're talking about PR and marketing, but you also just want to make sure that you're taking the time that the back end is where it needs to be, because you have two different consumers when you come online. You have consumers that already know about your businesses and services and know you by name, and you have other people that are going to go online and say, yoga studio, New York City. online classes. So unless your back end is good for SEO and your back end strategy is great, they're not going to be able to find you. So definitely take some time out to really look at that and make sure that that is good, because again, we have a huge amount of people online and we want them to be able to find you and all of these unique services that you're now offering as well. Look for ways to help. I saw one restaurant today that's been closed, unfortunately, due to COVID-19. So, what they decided to do was once a week, they have wellness shakes and they have their own special brand of energy drinks. So, once a week, they do, I think, maybe 100 of these, because, again, everyone can't do this based upon your budgets and understanding this. So once a week, they create care packages for all of the hospitals and the nurses and the doctors. And they document taking it to the nurses and the doctors once a week. And they repurpose that content and they share that content on their social media platforms and on their website, but also, hey guys, just to let you know, we deliver and here are some of our services. So number one, they are helping the community, but they put that as part of their marketing program to get more eyes on their sites, and also reminding people, hey guys, you can still be able to do this. But also they utilize that and pitched it to some local news sites, and they've been featured, I think now, on 3 different sites, because yes, your media outlets are really focusing on COVID-19 content, but also they are kind of tired of it too. So if they can get a COVID-19 story, but also seeing this company is doing something good, it's a win-win for them. So look at ways to where you can kind of still help the community, but also market your company at the very same time. So again, we've seen a lot of commercials over the last month about your bigger companies and how they pivoted. I've seen a lot of commercials with your car companies, your insurance companies. Some of the brand narratives I've been seeing has stated, this is what we're doing to assist you. We are going to postpone payments. We're going to do this. But you've also had some companies that said, this is what we're doing to help our employees. That's it. And then you've had some companies that says, we know you're tired of COVID talk. So if you want to do anything else or chat about anything else, we're here. What's common between all 3 of these type of brand narratives is that they're showing empathy in their marketing during this pandemic. So let's dig into that a little bit, okay? So I said earlier that you really want to readjust your strategies in your marketing campaign, as well as your scheduled content timelines, okay? So of course, we all have our social media, PR, marketing calendars, and things that we're gonna do prior to this. Again, scrap it. Let's go back to the drawing board and let's make it relevant, okay? So some brands are able to produce quick turnaround campaigns for specific moments. I just talked about Ford, which is very important, so you do the same. So the first step should be to audit what you're currently running in your pipeline and see if there's some things that you can do just to change the copy a little bit. But also look and see what you have pre-scheduled, unschedule everything, and just make sure that what you're marketing is going to be able to really speak to that. Also, one thing that I would say that you would do within your particular industry, from a local perspective specifically, because again, as small businesses, you're not looking for national news, you're looking for local news. Make sure that you're following every single local news outlet in your market on Twitter, Facebook, as well as Instagram. What you're gonna find is a lot of times some of those reporters are saying, hey, if you're a small business that's doing this, let us know. So you want to be able to be following them, so when they're having these call outs, this is an easy way for you to go back to them and communicate to them, hey guys, this is what we're doing, and guess what? you have a news story. So it's very important that you're following your news outlets to do this as you're pivoting your social media. Okay. Consider what to prioritize and what to pivot. So we do know that today is Earth Day. So that type of content is great. If it's some type of content where it's some type of silly social media holiday, we want to kind of stay away from that as well, okay? You should also keep an eye out on quarantine advertisements, again, in your area, in your region, and just look at their timelines and what they're doing. You don't necessarily want to copy it, but I think that it's a good frame of reference if you just don't know where to start yet. So you can kind of write down what you're seeing, but also decide what you want to do for your company. It's always great to have a frame of reference because this is unprecedented times. No one has a rule book of what should we do when something like this happens. So just trying to see what other people are doing is really going to help you strategize as you're doing things for your business. Evaluate your imagery in your language, right? So depending upon what type of business you have, you know, a lot of times you can walk past bars and things of this nature, and they have like their little chalkboards out and they have the funny messaging and things like that. And then they'll even put it like on their social media and do photos of that. Anything funny right now, people are kind of, well, people kind of do need comic relief, but it's just still a very tight thing that you want to look at, especially just when you're communicating your brand narratives. I think people want an opportunity to kind of get away from the noise of COVID, right? So if your small business has some type of brand narrative that you can do that's not insensitive in the times, I will definitely say look at that, okay? But lastly, just make sure that your visuals are sensitive to the times too, and make sure that all of your copy is sensitive there as well, okay? So as this quarantine period is going on, we have to kind of have forgiveness, right, with pre-existing content, and just really make sure that if you're going to do hero imaging, that it's really touching, number one, the people in your community, as well as your customers and your consumers, okay? Don't capitalize on the crisis. Just a second ago, I gave you a great example of a small business that's a restaurant that focuses on like healthcare products, healthy food and wellness, and what they're doing to help the community. Now, this particular restaurant actually has a history of doing this, okay? I also saw a small business do a social media campaign that said pretty much, hey guys, if you lost your job, retag this post, tag 2 friends, and tell us why we should give you $200 to help out. Very insensitive. I get that you want to help people, but helping people as a marketing ploy, it's like you're kind of capitalizing on that. So taking a step back, if your small business actually wants to help people with like groceries or possibly give them donations for $200, my recommendation would be you can still do social posts and put on your website, hey guys, we understand that now is a very hard time for you. So this is what we're willing to do. If you're suffering during this time, send us an email, send us a DM, and let us know how can we help. And that way, you're still showing your customers what you're doing to help. You can still utilize that to pitch to the news outlets, this is what we're doing. And it doesn't seem like you're capitalizing on a pandemic, okay? So we always just want to make sure that we are watching our tone, but also when you're doing this, make sure that you're not doing it to the point to where you're bragging, okay? So again, we want to be very mindful of the language that we're using. And also, if you're going to go the education route of educating people that's what's going on in this pandemic, Make sure that you're looking at the CDC websites and make sure that you're looking at factual websites before you communicate, because the last thing that we need is any small business miscommunicating to the public, and then that could possibly turn out to be a horrible news story. Because all PR is not good PR, despite what you heard. Okay, be positive, right? So look to your brand heart for guidance. Be personable. I think these are some of the things that I've been talking about a little bit. Think about your future messaging, okay? I talked a lot about how to really get your customers engaged in what you're doing. And I also talked about a report that stated that consumers want to see people that are taking care of their employees. So if you could get your employees engaged and possibly create some employee generated content, right? You can poll your teams for their favorite Netflix binges. You can share your tips for maintaining office plants during this time. You can share just like funny photos of your team's Zooms. You can get your employees to come online and say what they're doing during this time. And again, this can be an IG video live. This can be something that, you know, your employees can put on Facebook, but you're still showing empathy. You're still showing, hey guys, we're here and this is what we're doing. Hey guys, this is how we're taking care of our customers and our employees. But in addition to, as they're doing this and they're going on your website and they're going on your socials, they're also saying, oh wow, they still deliver. Oh wow, I still need my meditation. Oh wow, I can still get my juice. So it's bringing people to you and you're still communicating a great brand message. And depending upon what you're doing, it can be a great news story. I saw one company last week that was closed, and what they decided to do was they still wanted to support everyone, so they decided to open up their virtual bar. I think the bar was called the 87 Bar, and they're based out of New York City. So they said, hey guys, come and celebrate with us. We're gonna have one of our bartenders available to show you how to make these custom drinks. By the way, here's a Zoom background of the bar that we would love for everyone to use in the Zoom. So they did that. It was great. I think they had maybe 150 people participated in that. And actually they got a great news story and they recorded the Zoom and one of their bartenders doing the live demonstration, and they repurposed that content, right? So even with that idea, for a lot of various business models, you can still utilize that, right? Because it was creative, it involved Zoom, it involved their employees, it involved their customers, and they were able to pivot and pitch it to the media. Look at this feel good thing that we did. These are the results, and they got media placements for it. Okay. Another thing that I talked about is just, again, how can your brand help? Again, let's do great custom content and communicate with the benefits of what you're doing. Even if there's something that you saw online that was great, that's really good. What I've been seeing a lot of over the past week is a few things. Brands or small businesses have decided to have their own DJ party, to where they'll get a DJ to come on their site and DJ for an hour. They will have a happy hour. They will have a feel good Friday. They will have coffee breaks where they will say, hey guys, so we know our coffee shop is closed, but hey, let's just have a coffee break. Here is the Zoom. Come join us. Here's our IG Live. Come join us. And by the way, prior to the event, we have a discount on our coffee. If they have their own special coffee, you can order it and we can make sure to have it to you or packed to you prior to the coffee break. So again, they are promoting their services, they're getting you involved, but they're also like, yeah, guys, we still know what's going on during this time. Okay. Now, going back to the regional press and being very careful about what you're communicating and your messaging in your pitches, okay? This is not the time for a one-page pitch. They just don't have the time for it. They are inundated. So look at what these people are writing. Look at what they're focusing on, okay? And even when you go and you follow these news outlets, look at their reporters, follow their reporters too, okay? Because you definitely don't want to be tone deaf during these times when you're really trying to, number one, let's be honest, save your business, right? Pivot, still be able to communicate to your customers, but also show the value that you can do. I heard a story the other day about one small business. She was a tailor, and she would go out to all of these people and do custom tailoring for everything that they needed to do, for film, for TV, for proms, for dances, all of the above. So now she can't do it. So what she decided to do was, again, look at what's happening right now. And what else can I offer that's going to really serve people during this time, but also save my business? So she decided, well, I do sew. I am a seamstress. So maybe let me make some masks, but let me make some fashionable masks and let me promote that in the meantime, because people can't come into my business. I can't go to other people. And she's literally had to hire 3 more people to help her pivot. Another company, she was a vegan chef, to where she will come out to your home and create specialized vegan meals for you and your family. Well, guess what? Now she can't come into people's homes to create these custom deals. So what does she do? Excuse me. She decided to send out a blast to her email news list, as well on social media, and say, hey guys, we know you're at home, you're trying to work from home, you're there with your kids, it's a lot going on, and sometimes you may just can't cook every single night. Well, would you be interested in possibly still utilizing me to where I can still like drop off custom vegan dinners for you with no touches, of course, no touching? And she got an overwhelming response. So she was able to pivot her business to where she have created vegan meal plans for these people with a no touch delivery service. So I want to just provide a few samples or examples of what companies or small businesses have been able to do to pivot during this time. I know it's hard. I know it's stressful, and I know it's a lot of uncertainty right now, but your business is here for a reason, right? And although your traditional business model may have to change during this time, there is definitely an opportunity for you to pivot. I do hope that a lot of these ideas that I gave you and some of these strategies that I've given you have definitely been able to help you and really get that mind going about ideating. The company has some great small business offerings that we can do to kind of really help you pivot during this time if you can think of ways to do your own PR during this time, and your own marketing. So please give us a call. Of course, I'm sure you probably found out about this seminar through our website, through our social media, maybe on Eventbrite. So let us know what your needs are and what we can do to really kind of help you and keep everything good during this uncertain time. So what I wanted to do for the rest of the time is to open it up to questions. The Zoom group chat is open, so if you have any questions, this will be the perfect time to ask. Don't all speak at once. There is no such thing as a bad question.
Hi, Keisha, this is Anisha. Thank you for a lot of really great examples. I was writing all kinds of stuff down. It's really great. That was awesome. I had one quick question. So you spoke a bit about like a few examples of things you've seen so far, and like different ways people are promoting their businesses while still being sensitive to COVID-19 and everything that's happening right now, and how people are really feeling about themselves and their businesses during this time. Is there an example you've seen right like within the last week or so that you'd say is a good example of what people can do considering the country could slowly start to open up? Um, Maybe something online, maybe something like local where you are. Like any examples of that you could give us?
Yes, yes. I did see one company or one restaurant that stated that they were going to be opening on Friday, but in their messaging, they did say that we will be exercising all guidelines. We will be careful. We will be monitoring how many people we are letting in at one time, and we will be very serious about social distancing. I also saw one company that said that in addition to we will be doing not is it they have like some type of thermometer now or digital thermometer that they're going to be checking people before they're able to walk into their establishment. So I've seen two of those actually today because the governor just announced that they're going to be opening back up some stores and restaurants in Georgia. So I have been seeing that, but people just communicating, yes, we're opening, but we're being sensitive to keeping our customers safe at the same time.
Got it. That makes sense. What's your perspective on companies that have like, of course, this is mainly for small businesses, so a little bit of a tricky question, but what about companies that have locations in different states? Like, let's say it's like a boutique business that has locations in, let's say, Texas and New York, for example, right? Like, of course, they'll have the local messaging they're putting out, but what would you say? What kind of advice would you give to them? Like a very basic
I think
question.
if we have a boutique that's in two different markets, right? I think number one, overall, let's try to pivot your customers to online. So, for example, if you could do virtual, what's the word that I'm looking for? Virtual try-ons, if that makes sense. Like maybe they may highlight one outfit that they have a day, right? And they can do an IG live for like some of their new shipments, and they can have maybe someone model it, still exercising social distancing, if you will. But hey guys, these are some of what we have here. You can actually order online if you want. And also here is a special coupon code because we know that you can't come to us. Let us come to you. So we can still do that. So I've seen a little bit of that, but not a lot. But again, just getting people to go back to your website so they can actually see what you have coming in there. But also, if you have a boutique, do you have loungewear? This will be a perfect opportunity for you to promote the loungewear that you do have because people are at home.
Got it. Makes sense. How about from like a visual perspective? So we have like a couple of people that are very much in the visual space and user experience space. What would you say, like from having that intersection, is something they should think about as far as how that messaging should translate to visual? Like any like yeah, like what would you tell someone if they wanted to help like a site you like a business you mentioned, for example, really translate um their visuals into something that is positive, is like for the times, but at the same time being sensitive? Like any suggestions? I'm just curious.
Well, definitely, I feel like right now, things don't have to be perfect. I don't think that people want to see perfect imagery. They want to see real life imagery and just seeing people, in their normal environments, if you will. Even as you're looking at these quote unquote daily TV shows, you don't see everyone all dressed up. I mean, they may have a little bit of makeup on, but they're in their everyday environment. So I think just having super clean and polished stuff is not really the priority right now. Just showing that we are where you are. I've been seeing actually full transparency, a lot of your favorite celebrities, they are going on social and they have their beards, they have their grays, they have, hair growing out of the place. But I think as a consumer, to some of these brands and to some of these celebrities, just seeing that, you know what, we're here with you. And they're communicating that visually, it says a lot, because you can't be perfect right now. And I don't think that people want to see perfect right now.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm trying to think of a few more questions. Guys, so obviously everyone here so far is from the team. So why don't we open this up into how this would connect for like a PR to marketing to visual conversation? Like if there was a new business that came in and they're like, hey, we don't know what to do. First we were closed and now we have to open up. Like, what do we do? What do we do? Like from like a customer experience perspective, from a design perspective, from a PR perspective, like if everyone can kind of jump in and one thing perhaps that we could offer businesses like some perspective on, kind of just helping shape this conversation, since this is a recording, since I'm recording everything, to give like a new business like, hey, okay, here's a couple of things I should think about in these 3 different avenues. Make sense? I can start this if you like. So from, let's say I'm a bakery. Let's say I'm a bakery and I had to close. But I have been like refining what I need to open back up. Maybe I didn't have enough money to keep my full staff. So even though I could provide food, I had to shut down. Now I hear that, hey, we're opening back up next week. They're in Texas, for example, possibly opening up next week. What are 3 things we could suggest, like for a business like that, like 3 parts of their business they should focus on, from the PR side, from the design side, from the customer experience side?
So I'll start with the PR side. I think that number one, thank you for letting us know. This is great. So what's going to be very important for your consumers as well as the media, is just to know that, hey guys, yes, we are opening up, but this is what we're doing in order just to follow the CDC and keep our customers safe, because overall the sentiment is that everything is opening up too soon. So for the news outlets to know, okay, yes, they are opening up, but this is what they're doing to be sensitive to what's going on, but also this is what they're doing to protect their employees as well as their customers. That's going to be a very huge message and brand narrative that the news outlets will probably love to get.
Got it. All right, from the customer experience side, Brianna, any thoughts? This is one of the main things you definitely focus on. Any thoughts or suggestions?
When it comes to the customer experience, I think that Keisha said it perfectly on meeting your customers where they are. Because I think that there's a lot of companies that think that they should be doing something because somebody else is doing it, but really listening to your customers, seeing where they're coming from, seeing what needs they have at this moment, and being creative and open-minded to see what sort of solutions can you bring, even if they're a little bit outside of your normal scope, because this is a time when businesses can start trying things that are new and fail or succeed. And I think that the biggest advice that I could give is not be afraid to try something new, and to really, really listen to your customers, especially those loyal ones that have been coming to you for a while. But just as important, those new ones that are coming to you with new ideas. And yeah, I think that there's a lot of more interaction going on between the consumer and the business. Whereas like before, I would say it was almost like businesses were untouchable, celebrities were untouchable. And now everybody's a little bit more open and communicating. So as a business, really listening to what your customers' needs are and going from there. I think that's my advice.
Okay, that's great.
Yeah.
Alex, Dan, Carrie, what do you guys think? Like from a visual perspective, any thoughts and any like top of mind type of ideas?
Nothing off the top of my head. I mean, I've only been kind of dealing with like the food and beverage businesses, are the main people I interact with online through my friends and network down here in DC. And everybody's kind of in a different boat as far as some of those who received, the small business loans, those others still struggling to get them. I mean, it's really going to have to be case by case basis, but as far as visual stuff, I'm not sure. I mean, everybody's used to seeing Zoom video recording snapshots of people at home still, telling people they're doing okay and to hang in there and everything.
Got it. So it's shifted more so to being even more authentic, as Keisha mentioned, like just really showing where you are rather than making sure it's super polished. You agree?
Exactly. Yeah, I agree.
Okay, cool. Alex, any thoughts?
Yeah. So me being up, thank you, Keisha, for your presentation. It was really great hearing you. Yeah. So I'm up in New York. I'm in Brooklyn, specifically in Brooklyn, and we're an epicenter. So, how do I say this without sounding too negative? It's really rough and hard right now here. A lot of businesses are closing. There isn't a lot of work going around, and people are hurting. And it means that there isn't a lot of money to be spent at on uncertain income levels. I don't know the data specifics on that because I haven't looked at the data, but I know from the people I know personally that I think you hit the nail on the head when you spoke about being very factual. I think that's very important. I think it's important to, as you said, reference the CDC website and have a good grasp on. And also, I really appreciate it. You talked about just being very empathetic in your approach to how you message these things, and keeping calm and being authentic. To echo what Dan had said, and you had said that as well, just authentic language and imagery, because people are very sensitive right now. Not everybody, I mean, especially like epicenters and dense cities, a lot of people are still trying to get this sort of baseline right now and like some semblance of real life, because it feels very surreal up here. I mean, Times Square is a ghost town. All the places where tourists would go, it's empty, and businesses are suffering. So I think that it, really addressing the online piece is really important, to just keep the brand very keep that brand awareness there and visibility, because at some point we're going to get back to some semblance of real life or different real life. So that's all I really have. Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, I definitely agree. I think from like, as Keisha mentioned, from a marketing perspective, like, yes, you want to be able to help. Yes, of course, as a business owner, you want to see what you can do to survive as well, right? Like all of us have done consulting. All of us has worked with small clients to large clients. So how do you really help without, looking like you're trying to take advantage of the situation? I think that's a really important point. And it's interesting how all different kinds of agencies with all different types of capacities are addressing that. So thought your points are really great, Keisha. And I think, I think just having like really focused top line things to think about as a business are so important. And I think all the points you shared are really valuable. It definitely helps to, I think, for businesses to just hear those and like see how that shapes their conversation. Like, what do they need to say? What does my messaging need to look like? So as marketers in both the digital space and the physical space, I think we have a unique opportunity to do both, to help everyone to really kind of flex those skills, because this is a new challenging environment. And at the same time, like, see how whenever people do want to pivot, how can we help? Like it's a whole new platform, whole new medium we're like helping people create at times, right? So I think it's like a very it's a great time to learn a lot and be able to help a lot and share a lot too.
Yeah, the
So
the business is struggling, and I mean everybody's basically be forced to look at other options. You know, if their main business doesn't recover from this, you know, they'll still need help to
yeah.
look at other avenues and, you know, keep them and their family afloat.
Exactly.
By looking at
And so which ones?
other things
Mhm.
they, you know, have any interest in, or, you know, are good at
Yeah.
helping people with.
Definitely. All right,
Yeah,
guys. So
I go ahead.
No, go ahead. All you.
No, I just wanted to drop a quick comment around that. That's great. I mean, it sort of reminds me this whole idea and sort of perspective around the pivot, right? Like, you know, a lot of these online services can do that a lot. It feels like they could do that a lot easier than the brick and mortar,
Yeah.
because digital products is a lot more flexible and less cost prohibitive to pivot than a brick and mortar shop, mom and pop, right? So that's really great because you could shift from being you know, a a um, but in the physical sense,
Mm-hmm.
I think like, you know, the obvious, so like the car manufacturers who could pivot to making ventilators, you know, and I think as online content creators can pivot and multiply in many ways. There's so much opportunity there. So, and just sort of piggybacking off what Dan said, but like zooming in a little more on that, I think there's a lot of opportunity there, and a lot could be salvaged from, you know, during this, and what could be built upon, right? Sort of like the you know, architecture from that builds upon like a turn of the century architecture with this sort of modern facade, right? I like that. So anyway, I'm gonna stop rambling now.
No worries. That was really great. So just to wrap everything up, guys, thank you so much for joining. I think this was really great. Keisha, thank you so much for putting that together. The points were great. Love the flow. I really especially liked how when we opened up questions in the end, the fact that everyone here is in a space and in a position to help contribute because of our individual expertise. That coming together and that conversation, I think, is super valuable to business owners because they hear the different facets. So thank you everyone for participating. I will be hanging on to this recording and sharing it with you guys for future reference. And as you know, we're doing more of these creative sessions soon, so would love to catch up with everyone and keep this going. I think it's really helpful and really valuable.